Hi, Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain. I'm here to get beginners started in China painting and also to encourage those of you that are experienced painters to paint along with us. And today we're going to be doing the second coat on our apples. This is how the apples turned out last time for me. We're going to be going for a little more background and color. This is a second coat that I've already done. It's just to give you an idea. This is what we're going for. And I'll keep that over there. But one thing I look for in my brushes is I like them to be pliable up here. This brush was actually from Joann's. And I have to tell you, even though it doesn't look like much, it's the ones that they had there. They don't carry them any longer though. See, that's the problem, but it's low, Loew. And this is a half inch, so you could use that or this. And this one did real well for me. But part of the way I test them in the store is I get the brush and I try pressing down and I try pretend I'm painting with it just to see how it flexes. Some of them are very, very stiff and they don't flex well. So if you're buying a cheaper brush, otherwise, if you get them from some of the teachers or if you get them from some of the China painting places, I think you usually can find out how it's, they're usually better brushes. French and German brushes to me seem to be better. I prefer a quill to paint with sometimes. It just depends. So I have both a quill, which is this with the plastic, and then I have the metal ferrule, which is this with the metal. And I have the same size in each, and it just depends on what I'm painting. On this fire, I'm going to use, I already have on here Persian or blood red, and I'm going to then use Persian and blood red on this second fire. That should help you. So, color-wise, moss green, warm brown green, shading green beginners may not have. It's probably one that I use a lot. I don't know about other people, but it's kind of has a blue in the green, and it's a dark green. It's like a black green with a little bit of blue in it. So I use it a lot. That if you want to buy a next color, this is a good one. The black blue is a good one, but you can mix these. This would be like Copenhagen and black. This one's a little harder to mix and get right. So because if you have a basic palette, these are the greens you have, like a moss and a warm brown green. Persian and blood red will fire out. I'm sorry, will not fire out. Pompadour, if you use it lightly, will fire out. This combination works really well, and I don't seem to have a problem with it. Warm brown gray, you don't necessarily need. You can always mix a little yellow into your rich brown or a little red into your rich brown, and it will give you kind of a nice lighter color. And then the rich brown, and I have a silver gray. And if you don't have silver gray, don't worry about it. I use it for shading and things like that, but you could certainly use other colors for that if you're a beginner. Okay, I'm going to use blue black or black blue, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to start right here and I'm going to cover it in. Okay, I'm making where it's going to be the darkest on this plate. I'm going over the flower, the leaves a little bit, and then I'm going to go to the outside and just start probably up here at the top. And I don't know why, but I seem to have a blue cast on this plate when I'm looking at it on here on the screen. So my plate is totally white. It doesn't have any background color on it right now. Okay, and I'm going to smooth this out a little. Sometimes if you have too much oil on it, oops, let's see what happened there. If you have too much oil on it, you're going to get lines and things like that, and it's not easy to work. I have a couple of shadow leaves here. I'm going right over them because I like the look of it. You'll see they'll kind of become more shadowy. And I'm going to go round. I'm going around these and then I'm going to smooth everything out. Let me smooth it this way. Come on. I have to take a little bit of the oil off my brush. That seems to help. I'm also going to take the blue and use it as a shadow. You know me, I love blue. So I'm going to use it as a shadow, and I'm going to use it on this side. I like the blue and the red combination. I may be nuts, but I like a lot of color in my painting, and I'm just going to bring it around. You know, we said before you use like a C stroke, a big C stroke, and then if you want to even it out, you can kind of go this way, and that'll kind of even it out. I'll get rid of some of that, but right now I kind of like to have, to have the shadow on there. So I'm also going to put a little shadow up in here to remind me that there's shadow there. And then I'm just going to keep going around. I'm going to go right over my leaves. I like the blue on the leaves. Actually, if you've already painted your leaves green like I have, if you put the blue over it, it almost makes that shading green kind of look to it. Okay, and we're going to bring the blue up in here. Oop. When that happens and you get streaks like that, you're going to want to pull across this way to get rid of them. Just pull the opposite direction of the streaks and you should be able to get rid of them. Okay. And I want to go down in here. I'm getting glare from the light, so I have to tilt it a little. I'm going to pull it down a little so I don't have that glare on there. And again, I'm just using my blue. This is a black blue. If you don't have black blue, you can easily make a black blue by just simply mixing your Copenhagen with this. Okay. And now I have to hold it away from me in order to see what I'm doing here. I'm wondering if I pump it up, that doesn't seem to help. Let me try one other thing. That was the secret. Okay, I had another light on and that other light was making everything look blue. And I didn't want it to look blue, so need a little more color here. Okay. All right, so I put my blue on. I'm going to keep going around, putting a little blue over here. All right, I've got a lot of glare today. It's very very cloudy here. This is a little not quite as smooth as I'd like it. Where's my smoothing brush? Here we are. This is the brush I started using to smooth the other day. This was a Joyce Burlew. It's a 20. It's one of those thicker brushes. It's a square shader, but it's a thicker brush at the base. Can you see that? And that's what I like to use to smooth things. And I'm having a heck of a time with the smoothing. Normally my stuff goes on pretty smooth, but today it's just, so there, let's just smooth some of this out. And when it's overcast here, the glare from this, I use a ring light in order to have light on my paints. It adds, it bounces off my china and it makes it harder for me to see what I'm doing. So I apologize. It just seems like it's fighting me today. Okay, let's go back and get a little blue black. We're going to put a little in here, a little up in here. And I think I do want a little over in here. Mainly because I'm also using this for my shadow on a lot of my leaves, so. Okay. But yeah, that light is just giving me a lot of glare today. And I don't like the glare. So it's interfering with what I can see. Now see here, I did these leaves back here in a blue-black last time, and they kind of almost look like shadow leaves now. And I'm trying to feather this out so that it's not quite so obvious on the ends, because I am going to be adding another color out there eventually. Okay, switching back to my original brush. I'm also going to be adding a little bit, a very light amount of blue, very light amount of blue here. I don't know that I'm going to want all that, but I've got it there. And I think I want a little more on the bottom here. Okay. So that gives you an idea of where I'm going to be putting my shadows. Let's get a little more right in here. Okay. Because I want the ones that are on top to look like they're on top. I want the ones that are on the bottom to look like they're on the bottom. And I want to make sure that everything has an appropriate shadow. This is second fire. So if you decide that you don't like, you like this, you can leave it at this. If you decide that you want to go darker, you can go darker on the next fire. You don't have to put all of the color on at one time. If you know where you're going, that doesn't mean you have to put all the color on right then. Okay, as you know, see, I cleaned off my brush. I'm going in and I'm just going to take off a little of the color here, a little of the blue. I think I'm going to take a little of the blue off here. This is a little much too. So let me wipe it back. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I like that blue there. Alrighty. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to go in and do a little bit of yellow for the background. I want it to look like the color's coming through. So I'm going to put a little bit of color up in here. I'm using a lemon yellow. If you have a mixing yellow, that's fine. And I wanted to put a little yellow in down here, so I think I will. I'm just going to dab, and then I'll blend, because I want it to come kind of through. Here we go, a little more yellow up in there. I'm going to do the border in a green, because I don't have anything in green, and I kind of like the green. But I don't want to get there yet, because, you know, I'll get my hands in it as I turn everything around a million times. We all know that. We've seen that a million times. I do that very easily. Get a little more blue up in here. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do after you get the blue the way you want it and everything in the background, all smoothed out the way you want it. And we're going to have to smooth the yellow up in here. When you smooth the yellow out, this is what I have so far, by the way. I know I don't hold it up so you guys can see it. When you change colors and you're smoothing out background, make sure you clean your brush, add a little oil, and then put a little bit of the paint that you're using on there, because otherwise you're going to have a mess, and you don't want a mess. And it'll help you smooth it, and it'll also keep it much cleaner. It'll keep the color clean, because you don't want to, like when you have a light color like yellow, you don't want to mess it up. You want to have a nice color. And if you have yellow there and you want to go over these leaves a little bit, that's perfectly fine. You can do that. They would be a little lighter than the ones at the bottom. And then I'm going to take, you know, you feather from the end of your brush. All right. Now let's get on with the, I guess the apples next, because I like to finish off the apples. I'm going to go back to my other brush, my gold brush. And I may have to go to something that's not quite so thick. This one too, see how thick it is at the base? I don't know that I like them when they're thick at the base like that. Okay, now for these two, I'm going to use a combination of Persian and blood. This one will only be Persian. This one's going to have a little green with the Persian. That'll give me the different colors that I want all the way across. And I'm going to start with the darkest first. I think that will help me keep the other things a little lighter. This here. So blood is the darkest of the reds that I have. Oh. And I'm leaving that blue on there because it will add to the color of what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, I'm going to turn it around now. That was a C that way. I'm coming around this way. You can go right over the leaf if you're having trouble. A lot of people, when they're new and they have only a partial circle showing, like an apple, and you just can't get it. You can't get it round. Go over whatever is in your way. You can always wipe it off. See, if you go over it, it'll give you a more round look. You'll know where you left off with the round. If you're trying to paint just this part and just that part, it's hard. And especially if you're new to China painting, it's really hard. So there we go. I'm going to put a little red there. I'm going to wipe off a little there. Okay. Now we had, let me bring the red in a little more. Okay. Alrighty. I'm still leaving that little bit of highlight there. And as I paint next time, if I want to paint it darker or something, I can. It just depends. You don't have to paint it in every single time. I'm going to wipe out a little bit of that divot. That didn't work real well. It's when the finger comes in. Let me put a little more oil on there. Yeah, that kind of messed up my red. Hang on, let me fix that. Okay, I'm going to have to go with a smaller brush. I'm using my little round brush, this one, the little 4, because it'll get right in there, get that out for me without messing everything else up. I've always been told to use the largest brush you can use, but sometimes the largest brush you can use can be a pain in the butt because it gets right in your way. And then I'm going to take and put a little chartreuse on there, a little bit of Persian, and I'm just going to go back in and, oops, it doesn't even show, does it? Here we go. Just put it back in there a little bit. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave this for now because I might like the red on the leaf. Who knows? All righty. I'm going to wipe a little of, now that going to this apple, I'm going to wipe a little of the color off. Big C strokes. Oops. There we go. Because I want to make sure that it's on top, the apple behind it. And I'm using Persian and a little bit of blood. This was mainly blood with a little bit of Persian. This is Persian with a little bit of blood. And I'm going to start putting in, this is only second fire, so you don't have to get too dark on this. Using my big C stroke. And then I'll flip it and do the C stroke the other way. You could also do a reverse C if you needed to. But I don't want to lose the blue. Do you see the blue that's up here? I don't want to lose that. I love that. And so I'm going to, yeah, I noticed that sort of by accident when I was practicing earlier this week. And I went, ooh, I love that. So that's going to stay. And I'm going to make the bottom of this a little lumpy because I can even put one of those these little things, the little bottoms on there that they have. I don't want quite, oops. I don't want quite this much color showing on this one. This is just a bit much. So I'm going to pull a little bit of the Persian over. Persian is a good color to fill in and not look so like, on a second fire. It's a good one to fill in with because it does fill in, and at the same time it makes it look like you had it on the first fire, which is nice. And then I'm going to put a little bit of blood over here just to give it a little more depth. Okay, so that's that apple. Yep. And remember, now I've got it here. I'm going to go across a little bit, very lightly. That kind of rounds it out, I think. Okay. And I might wipe off just a tad more here. Okay, just so it's a little separate from that. Alrighty. Next apple. Alrighty, I'm into the moss and the chartreuse now for this next apple with a little bit of Persian. This is one of those ripening apples. So I'm just going to start over here because I don't want to disturb the purple. And I'm just feathering it very lightly. Do you see how I'm getting the color in there? It's just on the corner. It's just on the corner of my brush. I've got a full load of chartreuse and a corner load, I guess, of the Persian. And I'm just gonna try to get it where I want it without messing everything up. Okay. And again, I'm going to go across. And I'm going to put a little Persian up in here. And then I'll pull it down. And then I'll pull it up. And then I'll pull it across. Okay. Okay, that's good enough. We're on to the top guy. He's Persian only. Clean your brush really well. He is Persian only. Alrighty, and we're going to do him just like we did him the first time. We're going to come down this side. Remember what I said last time. If it gets a little sketchy, that's kind of cool because it makes it look like you really did paint it. And then we're going to come down here. Kind of using the side of my brush. Let me show you. I'm using like this part of my brush. I'm not touching all the way down because I want it to sort of just put a little bit there. I don't want it to be like overpowering. Okay. And then we're going to put a little across the bottom. Come up this side. He has to be red. He can't be not red. So I am putting a little more color here. But I'm trying not to get too close to the edge because I still want him on top. That was not right to do there. I want to get a little more red in here. There we go. And so like over here, I want this to be a little bit lighter. There we go. Okay. I know I'm spinning it, and it's probably driving a lot of you crazy, but I want to get the colors on that apple. And this apple shouldn't have it should have a red top, I think, on it. There we go. Okay, now for me, this is enough for second fire for the apples. I don't want to play with them too much. If I play with them too much, I'm going to lose some of these blues and things that I really, really like. You may not like that, then don't use the blues as much, but they're my favorite, so I do use them a lot. Okay, I'm going to my number 10. This is a quill brush. I got this, oh geez, years and years ago. I can't even read. I know it's a number 10, and I can't even read who makes it, but you can get quill brushes like this. They usually come top and bottom separate. Let me see if this one, see, here's the bottom, here's the top, and they slide together when you get them, and you have to kind of prep them. You can go on the website and you can see how how you can, there's a handout, free printable, I believe, that tells you how to get your brushes to lay flat. So that may help you. And okay, so now I'm going to take my blue, because you can never have enough blue, and I'm just going to go back and, oops, back here where this guy's in shadow. So I'm just adding a little blue just to make sure he stays in shadow. And I'm just going to add a little at the top to make sure they stay in shadow. And maybe a little right here. Just because I love this blue, and I think it makes some of these leaves look really terrific. And I'm going to take the blue and put it up in here. Oh, a little too dark. Let me get it pulled out of there. Yeah, when you put it in and it's dark, just lightly pull it and lift as you pull, and that will help you, I think, get your colors straight. Because a lot of times you just, oops. Okay, and I'm just touching to get the little guys across there, but let's see if they're going to work for me. Yeah, they do work a little bit. Can you see them there? They do work a little bit. And then I'm going to go down to the edge and just put a little color on there. And then just pull it. And sometimes it's just pulling it to the right spot that you need to do in order to get the color just the way you want it. This guy's kind of hidden. I'm going to mix my blue, my shading green, and I'm just going to see what I can do to get him out of there. Can you see him there? He's really hidden. It almost looks like a ghost leaf. Yeah, a little green there. I'm using moss green now, my number 10 brush. And oh, let me just pat it a little. I'm going to put a little, well, let me do it here. I'm going to put a little here. I'm a big fan of color. I like a lot of color. Alrighty, so that's how I would do my leaves. And then I'm going to take my liner. And each leaf is different. So like these I'm going to leave down here. They kind of look like shadow leaves. If you're lucky and you can get some more shadow looking leaves in the background, terrific. Over here, I think because this is down at the bottom, I think I would put a little more blue in it. Then maybe take a little bit of moss, a little bit of warm brown green maybe. Oh. There's that guy. I want him to come in the middle more, so I'll get a little more blue and I'll just put it down the middle. That should help it kind of come into the middle more. And then we got to put some side guys on there. And you can do that with a liner, or you can do it with the other kind of brush. You can do it with just tapping the other brush. It's up to you. Okay, well, I have my liner. Okay, I'm going to go in now, and I'm going to take it, I'm going to put a little bit of brown right here, because this is a stem. It should be a little darker. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing up here. I have the blue on there. You see, can you see how I have the blue already up here? Then I'm just going to start using this and finishing out that. I might put a little in here. There we go. And as I get out this way, I'm not going to reload my brush because it's fading off. I don't want it, as it is, it drives me crazy that it goes down the middle, but that's actually the way it goes. So probably should have used more artistic license there. And then for these veins over here, you can see this one's totally disappeared. But the biggest problem is if you're going over the top of something that you've already painted. Let me find a, that's a stipple brush. We don't want that. I want a square shader. Here we go. You can just take a dry brush and touch it, and that will get rid of it. There we go. So you aren't killing it. Okay. Okay, and then I'm just doing this down here a little bit. And then I'll do my leaf. So I don't want to take more time on this. Let me show you what I'm going to do with the edge. Actually, this pink brush I just found, that's a Paula Collins. It's a 20, just like the others. But I still think this one, I like the length of this. See? That's the other thing to consider, is what length fits best in your hand. This one's really, really a long one. Here, let me hold it way back here. I'll hold the tops up together. See the difference? And I like the longer brush. For me, it's easier. When I go back on it, I get more of the effect I'm looking for when I'm trying to smooth things out. If it's too close for me, I can't do it. I'm using moss green around the edge. Can you see it's I'm doing it very lightly, and I'm trying not to touch my blue, kind of intentionally. I mean, I'm going right up to it. But I like the way that the ends of the blue finished, so I don't want to get too close to them this time. You can do it on the next fire, but I'm doing a very pale. Here's the moss. Let me put it on heavy and you can see what color it is. It's this color. Okay, so I need to just soften all this, but you can see I'm going to have, if I just hold my hand over this, you can see this is what I'm going to end up with. I'm going to have my apples, my blue, my green, a little bit of yellow, and have the dark down the middle. And then, of course, you're going to go in with your liner and your rich brown, and you're going to do a little bit here. So that guy has a little thing there. And you might even use the liner to do just a little of the separation there so that it stands out. You can also look and see if there's any, I think I put on this apple, I put a little that. So I think that does it for us. Pick up those brushes, keep painting. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe so that other people can learn more about China painting and we can get the word out to more people. You also can look at the links below. My Paintnporcelain.com website has a lot of freebies and printables for new and experienced painters, as well as studies, supplies, and even some of my hand-painted china. So thank you again, and I'll see you next time.